Time for another weird movie from the video store era, but before we get to that, I just want to say thanks again to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. That's right, Squarespace, a leader in the web design industry for over 20 years. And now they've given everyone a tool that makes building a professional website easier than ever: Design Intelligence. All you have to do is describe your business, choose your preferences, and select your favorite colors, and Design Intelligence will handle the rest, creating a completely customized site loaded with all the features you need. If you're a creator, Squarespace offers tons of amazing tools to showcase your work. Whether it's music, painting, or maybe you just want to talk about your favorite weird movies like me. You can even set up an exclusive members-only section to give premium content to paying customers. Squarespace also simplifies selling products, whether they're handmade or digital. Everything from listing items, managing inventory, and tracking shipments is streamlined to ensure your customers get their orders smoothly. So if you're somebody who wants to join the thousands of other people who've used Squarespace to make their dreams a reality, just go to squarespace.com/Brandon Tenold or click the link in the description and sign up for your free trial. Then, when you're confident your site's ready for launch, use the promo code Brandon Tenold for 10% off your first purchase. Alright, let's get into it. So remember how Scream put a fresh twist on the horror genre by having self-aware characters that talked about horror movies and pointed out their cliches?
Never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, "I'll be right back."
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back!
Well, guess what? Scream wasn't the first movie to do that. Now, to be fair, the movie I'm going to talk about probably wasn't the first to do that either, but point is it came out before Scream.
There's nothing out there.
There's Nothing Out There is a 1991 horror comedy from first-time director Rolf Kanefsky, who made it when he was only 20 years old. And instead of this just being a one-off like a lot of low-budget monster flicks I've done on this channel, Kanefsky's still busy making movies to this day. If anyone's wondering why this doesn't get more credit for being a self-aware horror movie, even though it came out several years before Scream, that's probably because not a whole lot of people saw it. After a few festival screenings, Kanefsky shopped the movie around to various studios to try and get a theatrical release, but when none were interested, the rights were sold to Image Entertainment, who released it on video. After the release of Scream, though, several reviewers started to note the similarities, with some Blu-ray releases even mentioning it on the cover. So does this one deserve more attention as a self-aware satire of the horror genre? Let's find out. So we begin exactly where you'd think a movie like this would: a video store. And it's one that isn't just playing Night of the Living Dead on the TV like most horror movies that need to show another horror movie. I'm not sure who this guy is, but he looks like he's gonna wait outside my window and threaten me if I don't make another Godzilla video. Anyway, after he's done looking in the other movies I've done section of the store, he then decides to jump scare the girl working there. I'm not sure what the hell is going on, but I think this is what happens when you return too many movies without rewinding first. Seriously though, what the hell is going on here? Oh, it was all a dream. She's actually okay. Or not. Don't worry, she's alive. She's just got a bad case of compound derp face.
Okay. I'm awake, and I'm alive.
Listen, sweetheart, it's a horror movie. If you were really self-aware, you'd know that you're gonna be the first victim. And the fact the Lochnar from Heavy Metal is here ain't helping your chances of survival. Here's a big difference between this movie and Scream. Instead of a slasher movie killer, we have some sort of weird tentacled alien monster, which makes this closer to the kind of low-budget monster flick I usually feature on this channel. And guess where the movie goes from here? That's right, straight to hyperspace. Anyway, after that we then cut to a high school, and once again, if this is a self-aware horror flick, is anyone gonna point out that everyone at this school is 30? Seriously, most of the students here look older than the teacher, and I think I've figured out why they look so old.
Here's a question I'm sure you can answer. How long till spring break?
38 seconds! Wrong, it's October. You're all getting held back again. Just kidding, of course it's spring break. And like any good horror movie, that means a group of students are gonna spend it at an isolated house in the woods.
Now let me get this straight. It's a house in the woods with 4 bedrooms and nobody else for miles around.
Yeah, and it's the early 90s, which means we don't have to worry about that whole there's no cell reception cliche. Oh yeah, about that. Even though this came out in 1991, in these characters' hearts, it's always 1985. And they're so determined to party, they're not gonna let something like passing an accident get them down. Well, except this one guy, that is.
Can we please go home? Look, take the wheel, rotate it.
Forget it, man. We've gone this far. We're going all the way.
You don't understand. We just went through a warning. Don't forget, I have rented out every single horror film on videotape.
Oh yeah? Well, have you seen Space Thunder, kids? Because believe me, you have not experienced true horror until you've seen that one. This is Mike, the group's resident horror movie expert, and perhaps not coincidentally, Mike's the only guy here that doesn't have a girlfriend. Well, hey, don't worry about it, pal. In a few more years, the internet's gonna take off, and that's a place where a guy like you can really thrive. Seriously, though, he can't get a girlfriend just because he likes horror movies? Come on, even the nerdy guy in the group has a hot Brazilian girlfriend.
Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, here's mistake number 1.
No, mistake number 1 was going here instead of Cancun for spring break, and also inviting Mike.
Name a horror film. Any horror film. I can think of about 10 right now.
Attack of the Beast Creatures. Have you seen that one, Mike? And no need to worry, this place is protected.
You got an alarm in this place? What good would that do?
I'm sure it'll play into the plot at some point. I can see why the rest of the group is getting annoyed with Mike. His fears are really unfounded.
Do you realize if an insane madman came around here hunting for flesh that nobody could help us?
There's no insane madman. I mean, didn't you see the beginning? You just have to worry about some weird alien snot monster.
You know, Janet, you're right. I'm jumping to conclusions and overreacting. I'm just letting all the horror films I've ever watched get to me.
You know, I always wondered what Randy from Scream would have been like if he was played by Dave Coulier. Bad news, not only is there definitely something out there, but some Return of the Living Dead rejects are here too. On the plus side, pretty much all of them seem to be trash and immediately start taking their clothes off.
Friends of yours?
Hey! Hey, you guys!
Hey, can't you read the sign? If you're going skinny dipping, that includes bottoms too. Also, I guess this one girl didn't have nudity in her contract.
Look, don't you know what just happened? Those kids were born to be murder victims and just paid us a visit.
Okay, Mike, you could be right here, but you don't exactly seem like final girl material yourself, you know. Alright, enough of that gratuitous skinny dipping scene. Time for a gratuitous shower scene. And it comes with an imitation Rick James soundtrack. Meanwhile, Mike keeps trying to warn the others of danger, but they don't listen to him.
You going out there? Are you crazy? Look, Nick, we've been friends for 10 years now.
We've known each other since we were just 25. I don't know if there's something out there, but I do know what's in this house.
Jesus!
That's right, a whole lot of fake-out scares.
How about a quick one?
No! It's dinner time.
You know I can't bust on an empty stomach. Well, okay, it is probably for the best we do it before. It is chilly night after all. Now that they're all settled in, let's see if we can get a title drop.
A discussion about, though, horror films, perhaps?
No, about what has the potential of becoming a horror film unless we do something about it quickly. There is something out there.
That's not the title.
There's nothing out there.
There, that's more like it.
What do you think happened?
I'm still going back and forth between an axe murder and an alien from outer space.
Again, I saw the beginning, it's the second one. So, when are they gonna go to the basement and find the Necronomicon? Oh, never mind. Looks like the Deadites are coming to them. And even worse, it ruined the rest of their dinner and covered everything in alien snot. At least I hope to God that's just snot. Only one thing to do now, go outside and investigate.
It's not safe. It's not safe.
I'm sure you can get a flashlight.
Hey, come on, it's 1991. Fleshlights weren't around yet. These two do end up going into the woods to investigate, but they didn't say I'll be right back, so they should be okay. Oops, looks like I was wrong.
Are you alright?
Damn fallen branch. Where did the flashlight go?
Don't worry, these woods seem pretty well lit. I don't think you'll need it. Then again, maybe they do, since they don't see the monster right in front of them.
Ooh, I think I stepped on something.
my garage.
Like a weird pissed off monster, that's what. From what I can see of this thing, it's a small tentacle thingy that sort of looks like one of the boogans, except instead of a turtle, this thing's more like a frog. One thing's for sure, it loves killing people and really hates pants. You know, I get the feeling she would have died on this trip even without the monster. And as long as characters are going outside...
We're going for a swim.
Why don't you put a sign on your chest that says victim?
Listen, bro, I already got laid earlier, so I'm gonna die anyway. Might as well get one more bone session before that. Speaking of which, Mike's the only one who's not gonna be getting any tonight.
We're gonna go to bed, alright? Good night. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, Mike, time to put on your VHS of society and sadly masturbate to the orgy scene. Better block off the door, though. You don't want anybody walking in. And have I mentioned the soundtrack? Okay, are we sure this movie's from 1991? Because everything about it seems like it was made 5 or 10 years before that. Regardless of when it came out, this movie is so 80s I keep expecting a twist where the monster's actually the one who shot Ronald Reagan. I will say though, the real horror of this movie is the abundance of tighty whities here. Although that could be because the monster seems kinda dumb. Okay, now we know the monster can be defeated the same way as Sideshow Bob. It's probably for the best these two got interrupted. Jim was suffering from a bad case of swamp shrinkage. Well, at least this guy's getting some action, which is more than I can say for Mike.
Well, I'm not gonna have to worry about getting any sleep tonight.
Everyone knows you were putting a glass against the wall and listening in anyway, Mike. Because he can't sleep, Mike decides to cosplay as his favorite superhero, Dorkman. Meanwhile, the monster makes its way to the house. He's gonna kill some 30-something teenagers even if it's the last thing it does, damn it. Also, even if the monster wasn't there, I think Mike would have cock-blocked Jim anyway. The real danger here is the characters getting murdered by slapstick.
What the hell's going on here?
This asshole comes down here looking like Friday the 13th trying to scare us.
I'd say this is more like Saturday the 14th, right down to the rubbery monsters.
Doreen!
What's in there?
Well, that's the basement.
Hey, I knew this place had a creepy basement. Instead of the monster, though, guess what they do find down there?
Kitchen!
That's right, a cat scare. Also, where did that come from?
Where did it come from? There's nothing up here but ceiling.
Oh, okay, well, that's one thing Scream never pointed out, so props to this movie.
I love how these animals just fall out of nowhere right into your hands.
Because the rest of the group is tired of Mike's shenanigans, they decide to lock him in the basement for the night.
Hey! You can't leave me down here!
This basement isn't insulated for radon. Oh, and also the monster's down there. What the hell is Mike gonna do? Okay, so the monster's weakness is random household tools? Actually, I was wrong. It turns out it can be defeated by pretty much anything in the house. Okay, and now it's Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy? And did Mike just die here? Because if he did, that would be quite a twist. Eventually, the others realize they left Mike in the basement, which is now flooded, so Nick takes the car into town to find a plumber.
I'll see you later.
Okay, he still didn't say I'll be right back, so he should be alright. He still has to worry about fake-out scares, though.
Well, no shower.
Don't worry about that. Splashing around in some pond scum ought to clean you right up. I just realized we're almost an hour in, and other than that one girl at the beginning and the couple that went into the woods, there haven't been many victims here. They better increase the body count quick. There, that's better. Also, pretty good jump scare. That one actually got me. As if this thing wasn't already bad enough, it can also shoot green energy bolts out of its eyes. Not to worry though, they can be blocked with a simple elbow. Looks like Stacy's the only one left, but luckily she's able to jump to safety. Or at least whoever this is does. And hey, Mike's still alive.
You're alive!
Oh, you're quick.
Hey, I'm the smartass around here, pal.
How many are left?
How many What?
Our friends, the people we came up here with, remember them?
Hey, I got a question. What happened to that group of punks from the beginning? I thought for sure they were gonna be cannon fodder victims for the monster, but then they just went skinny dipping and then disappeared. Supposedly the reason for this is that the producers didn't think the movie had enough nudity and only added this scene for more boobs, which begs the question, what the hell was this girl doing there? So far this thing's been defeated by rakes and hammers, and now we learn another one of its weaknesses, a good square knot. It's still after him though.
Where?
Someplace it doesn't know. My room.
It'll never expect to find a girl in there. And I guess the monster's laser eyes don't do anything. This girl seems fine. Jim, on the other hand, is busy turning into the incredible melting man. By the way, I've joked about the monster having lame weaknesses, but you know what it really can't stand? That's right, shaving cream.
But I'll stop him for now. Nobody likes a mouthful of shaving cream.
If it comes back, brush its teeth and then give it some orange juice. So far, Mike's pointed out how to survive in a horror movie, but now it's time for this to get really meta.
Well, let me tell you something. That creature out there is not reality.
So you're saying we're in a movie?
It's a distinct possibility.
Yeah, now you're in a movie in an internet video. It's like metaception. Anyway, let's learn more about the monster.
Well, you know, people have saliva to break down food. This thing must have green slime.
Yeah, but is it something in your head? Will you believe it when you're dead? We also learned that it only wants to kill the men and wants the women for another purpose.
Like what?
Reproduction?
Okay, so it's a killer alien horny toad. Got it. Speaking of which, the Brazilian chick is actually still alive, so the body count's even lower than I thought it was.
I'm going. Huh, me too!
Great, this thing's gonna have itself an orgy.
Oh man, even the alien's getting laid more than me. Here's another thing we learn about the monster. Apparently those I-beams it shot out earlier are used to control people's minds. Although I'm not sure what purpose this serves other than making it easier for it to assault some of the other women. Seriously, no means no, alien. Damn, that is one mouth you do not want in between your legs. Thank God for that incredibly lame shaving cream weakness. Of course, the people it possesses need to be taken care of another way.
Decapitation! Well, I guess I'll teach her not to start with you again. Punishment seems a little strict, but what do I know?
I had to!
Mike doesn't sound too upset about it. I don't think you need to explain yourself. Of course, Nick still hasn't come back yet, so instead, Mike and Stacy decide to barricade themselves in the basement. Smart thinking, Mike. Nobody's ever gotten killed in a basement in a horror movie.
You know what keeps coming to mind? Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
I was thinking more the Deadly Spawn, although the kid in that seemed more resourceful than you despite all your horror movie references. Meanwhile, Nick finally comes back after visiting the plumber, only to then get attacked by the monster. What the hell is he gonna do? Okay, that's another thing Scream didn't do. I kinda wish there had been more Naked Gun-style gags like this earlier in the movie, but I guess the last 15 minutes will do.
You gotta get Nick!
Well, where the hell did he go? Oh!
And then they got in the car and went home. The end.
So-and-so, it walks in the daylight. So-and-so, it lights up the dark.
Nah, just kidding. Of course the monster hops on the hood of the car and tries to stop him. And in a long run of weird weaknesses, here's another one. Sunglasses. Of course this doesn't matter since Nick crashes the car into a pond like an idiot. By the way, the body count's still been pretty low. They should fix that. There, that's better. Alright, that does it. Time to go full Kevin McAllister on this thing. Mike devises a plan to lure the monster into the oven by getting it to chase after a flashlight like a cat going after a laser pointer and setting up a bunch of mirrors so it bumps into things. This is a pretty dumb monster, although I probably should have figured that after it got foiled by a rake. Stacy's got the right idea though. Just cut one of its tentacles off. That seems better than using shaving cream or trying to trap it in the oven.
She looked into its eye!
Why don't you just cut its other tentacle off? That worked pretty well the first time. Or that works too. Good news, you killed the monster. Bad news, you're probably not getting your damage deposit back now. Oh, and remember that alarm from the beginning?
You guys remember that alarm system?
Yeah.
It's hooked up directly to the police station.
You mean all we had to do all this time was set off that goddamn alarm, and police with real weapons would have been all over this place in a half an hour?
I probably should have mentioned it earlier, but didn't seem that important. Also, why did it only go off after this one window got broken? You're telling me none of this other shit triggered it? Oh, and it turns out the girl from the beginning is still alive.
Please help me.
Sure, hop on in.
Come on, Mike. You should know that in horror movies you never pick up hitchhikers, and that they always end on a sequel hook. I thought you were the expert here. There you go, that's some smart thinking. While Scream ended up becoming a mainstream cultural touchstone, this one was pretty much always destined to be more of a cult flick, even if it came out a few years before. First off, don't expect the polish of something like Scream. Because this is a low-budget movie made by a 20-year-old director, a lot of it's pretty amateurish from the acting to the effects. However, I do like that this one didn't go with the standard slasher movie killer and instead went with an alien monster, even if the design of this one isn't nearly as weird and memorable as something like The Deadly Spawn. It's also a little inconsistent with its humor, with most of the movie being played fairly straight other than Mike pointing out various horror cliches, but then there's parts where it goes into straight up parody movie mode. I actually wish there were more gags like this, but there's only a few of them. This is far from a perfect movie, but you can tell it's a satire of the horror genre made by a fan of it. There's a reason it starts out in a video store. I have a feeling Konevsky spent a lot of time there, and as somebody who also rented a lot of monster flicks, I can appreciate that he took the next step and actually made one. And considering he's still making movies, he might show up again on this channel. Maybe one of these days I'll do his James Bond spoof, You Only Live Until You Die. Well, that's all for now. Until next time.
Are we gonna stay in this car? Because if we are, I'm about to fart.